A lot of people today try to publish their own tabletop games by setting up their own companies and trying to crowdfund the game. But is that the right route for you? Should you choose to traditionally publish your game? What are the advantages of that? I talked to Sydney Engelstein of Indie Boards and Cards about what advantages that traditionally publishing a board game has. Let's get to it. But first, The Cultists is our comedy web show about modern-day Lovecraftian cultists trying to worship Cthulhu in a world full of people who just don't understand. Season 1 is on YouTube now. Hit up the Season 1 playlist on the channel to watch it all. The first episode of Season 2 is coming October 7th. Subscribe to the channel for the second season and behind-the-scenes videos. Because I had spoken to Lou Anders and then also Mark Tassin. I was trying to think of, his name eluded me in the earlier introduction. But like Mark Tassin and Lou Anders, well, and myself, who established their own companies to try to publish what they are trying to get out. And one of the things I've been trying to stress to people who are thinking about trying to create their own thing is that, yes, you can go independent and you can try to do it all yourself, but that means that you are doing it all yourself. And as you were talking about, there's a lot of things with project management that even after the thing is designed, you still have a year, of worth of work, to do, especially if you're going through a Kickstarter or something like that.
Yeah. And if you're doing it all yourself, there are even parts of it that I don't even do. We have multiple people to handle. I don't do any of the marketing or contacting. I don't handle shipping from wherever you get it manufactured, going to distributors or warehouses and then getting from there to Kickstarter backers or to local board game stores. All of those things also are part of producing a game, is getting it to getting it to Kickstarter backers or getting it to people who will buy it and marketing it to them so they know it exists. And that even is more things on top of it that I don't even do in my job, where I wear a lot of hats. So.
And the marketing, well, you're talking about the marketing alone is its own thing. That if people don't know that you're doing something, then it really doesn't matter. If they don't know that it exists. And then, the shipping and logistics, the freight and logistics, man, that can be a tremendous headache. And it's only
especially
becoming
these
more
days.
So. I was going to say now it's even worse now. So, okay, let's say that let's say that what you want to do is you want to publish a board game and you have been creating it and you're trying to decide, well, do I try to do the independent route and set this up and do it all myself? Or do I try to take this to a publisher such as Indie Boards and Cards? If I were designing a game and first of all, I guess we've kind of answered that. What would make me come to you is that you would take the game after the design stage?
Mm-hmm. We would take it however it's pitched to us. So generally that's completely designed. Occasionally with designers that we have a good relationship with, or who show us a prototype that we want to make a lot of changes to, but does have such a strong core that we're like, we want to nail this down. Sometimes it will be partially designed, but generally it's a fully designed product. And we will develop it from there to make it as perfect as possible and also make sure it's the product we're looking for. And then we will take care of all graphic design, illustrations, marketing, rule book writing, shipping, manufacturing, all of that stuff, so that the designer doesn't have to get involved. And then they'll get a royalty commission on the sales of the game once it comes out.
So is it all royalties? Or is there an advance and then?
I mean, we have individual contracts with each person. We generally do a small advance and then a standard royalty rate. But I mean, the numbers are something that you discuss and it's based on the game. And also not my area. I don't sign the contracts. Our boss does. Travis Worthington is the head of our company.
Okay. Well, in some ways, to some people, that will sound like the ideal situation because you get to do all of your design, which is the fun part of what people think about tabletop game design. You get to design all of this, and then you get to hand it off to you guys who are going to do a lot of heavy lifting, especially
all the grunt work.
Everything else is done over there. Now, of course, that's going to mean that you're going to get less money. That the designers, there's probably less money than the designers think.
Additionally, there is, when you come to a publishing company, similar to any kind of industry, having the name recognition backing is its own kind of marketing. Like going through a major publishing house for your book, they have the connections in marketing to get it out there, but just saying, oh, it's from Penguin is now they know it's been vetted by people who professionally publish books versus something that's self-published kind of has a feeling of, oh, well, maybe it's really good. Maybe it's not good. We don't know because nobody else approved this except the person who made it. When it comes from a design, from a publishing house like Indie Boards and Cards, our fans who are already fans of previous games that we've published are more likely to see the game, to get the game in front of them and think, oh, well, I like other Indie Boards and Cards games, or I like other Strongholds games. So this is probably something that I will enjoy also because I know I trust the games that they come out with. So that's another sort of benefit in addition to the workload. But there is definitely a loss of control over your own creation that's inherent to signing a contract with a company.
Mm. And then if you as the designer at that point, if you want more money, then what you should be doing is going and designing a new game. And
Yes.
that you need to, if you want to make money as a game designer, then you need to design lots of games, and you can just have that. I'm just the fun part, like that. Theoretically, you should be able to do that, but that means that you're going to have to design a lot of games and be sending them to publishers in order for those royalties to, in aggregate, make something that you can live off of, right?
Yeah. Most people who independently design games are not doing it full time as their sole income source. It's a lot of times a side hustle or a hobby. And if you manage to sell it to a company and make money off of the royalties, it's a great bonus to something you already enjoyed doing as a hobby. But if you want to be one of the few people who is genuinely designing full time, a lot of the people I've talked to who do that actually will do contract development on other people's games. So they'll go to people who have board games that they aren't quite sure about and be like, I will work on your game and develop it, make suggestions, help it become better for pay, to help supplement the fact that they can't be selling games constantly. Because it's very difficult.
Yeah, and the number of people who probably are making a living purely as game designers has got to be very small. You said
I would
of a
imagine.
few. Yeah, I can
I
think of
mean, these are heavy
one.
hitters. Like, I think I went to a talk one time from the designer of Pandemic who was talking about being a full-time game designer, but we can't all have designed Pandemic.
Right, right. And if people are talking about, if you do publish your own, or you decide to do your own publishing company and put it out yourself, to some people that would mean, oh man, so you're doing this full time. But that doesn't mean that you're a full-time game designer. The amount of time that you're actually spending in game design can be very, very low because of the development and especially the project management side of things. I mean, predominantly what you're doing is the project management side of things on a percentage basis, I found.
Right. Then it circles back around to, if you want to make your own board game company, keep in mind, like, hear yourself, you're saying, I want to start my own company, and everything that comes with starting any kind of company exists in a board game company, the financials and the sort of bureaucracy of it all is necessary and will take up a lot of time. And generally, a board game takes, I mean, minimum like a year from design, development, production costs of like getting the illustrations and the components together, and then also getting it produced and shipped. Like, a year is a very conservative estimate of how
Well, that
long
would be
that whole
fast,
process
yeah, to
is.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It,
Talking
it
about going
usually
from
is longer, especially if you're a brand new company that doesn't have the infrastructure to do these things, like bing, bang, boom. We've done this over and over. We have all of these relationships already set up with illustrators. We have relationships set up with factories. So you're not going to be seeing money from your very first game that you've made this company around for over a year. And you probably want to be starting it on your second game a little sooner than your first game has come out, so that you aren't then in the doldrums of money generation for another entire year, especially these days, because a board game will stay in the public consciousness of, hype and hotness and people buying it for a lot shorter than it used to, because of the just general market saturation of how many board games come out. It's so hard to make something stick and have people still be thinking about it even months after it's come out and be like, oh yeah, we should order more of that for our game store, because people are still buying it. There's just always something new.